The champagne flute shattered against the marble floor of the country club ballroom like a gunshot in the dead of night, drawing every eye in the room to Christopher Hale as he stood there, trembling, shards of crystal glinting under the chandeliers like accusations. "You're nothing but the help now. Chris, grab a broom and clean that up before Mom sees." His brother Ethan snarled from the head table, his voice slicing through the murmurs like a knife through wedding cake, while the bride-to-be, Lila, watched with eyes wide as saucers, her veil trembling in the air-conditioned breeze. In that frozen heartbeat, Christopher felt the weight of 28 years crash down, the invisible sun, the family secret, the love he'd buried deeper than his own heartbeat, until Lila's hand shot out, grabbing his wrist, and whispered the words that would unravel everything. "He's lying, Christopher. Your brother." He knew about Jason all along. Christopher had always known his place in the Hale family hierarchy. Third wheel, afterthought, the gay kid who'd learned early to fade into the woodwork like wallpaper in their sprawling colonial in suburban Chicago. Growing up in the shadow of Ethan, the golden boy varsity quarterback turned corporate climber, Christopher had perfected the art of invisibility. Their parents, Margaret and Harold, ran a tight ship, church every Sunday at St. Mary's, Thanksgiving turkeys stuffed with tradition, and no room for that lifestyle, as Dad called it in hushed tones after Christopher came out at 17. Ethan, ever the protector, had brokered the fragile peace. "Keep it quiet, bro. For Mom's sake," and Christopher had. He swallowed the barbs at family dinners, the side eyes from aunts who'd whisper about fixing him up with nice girls from the parish. He poured his heart into his job as a graphic designer at a small ad firm downtown, sketching dreams he couldn't live, and dated Jason in stolen weekends away from the city, in dive bars in Milwaukee or quiet cabins up in Wisconsin, where they could be just two guys in love without the world weighing in. But Ethan's wedding was supposed to be the pinnacle, the event that proved the Hales were unbreakable Americana royalty. The venue was the Oakbrook Country Club, all manicured lawns and crystal stemware, flown-in peonies from California, and a string quartet playing Vivaldi under a tent that cost more than Christopher's yearly rent. 300 guests. Ethan's Wall Street buddies in bespoke suits, Lila's artsy crowd from her gallery in Wicker Park, and the family elders clutching pearls and programs like lifelines. Christopher arrived early, as instructed, in a rented tux that pinched at the shoulders, black, unassuming, nothing to draw attention. "Help set up, will ya?" Ethan had texted the night before, followed by a winking emoji that felt more like a jab. So Christopher did, hauling chairs from the valet lot, pinning bunting to the archway, even polishing silverware in the kitchen while the caterers shot him pitying glances. "You the help?" one asked, and Christopher forced a laugh. Family tradition. By cocktail hour, the slight had calcified into humiliation. He balanced a tray of hors d'oeuvres, tiny crab cakes and prosciutto-wrapped figs, circulating like a ghost among the laughter. Aunt Rita pinched his cheek. "Look at you, Chrissy, filling in for the waitstaff. Such a good boy." Uncle Frank clapped his back too hard. "Save some energy for dancing with the bridesmaids later." Christopher's smile was a rictus, his cheeks burning as he dodged Ethan's groomsmen, who catcalled from the bar. "Yo, waiter, another round." He spotted Jason across the lawn then, a vision in navy slacks and a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, nursing a whiskey sour with that easy grin that always made Christopher's knees weak. Jason Riley, 30, Irish-Italian fireplug from the South Side, with freckles across his nose and a laugh like gravel under tires. They'd met 2 years back at a pride rally in Boys Town, bonding over bad drag show punchlines and shared dreams of escaping the Midwest grind. Jason was a mechanic by trade, hands calloused from Volvos and Chevys, but with a poet's soul, quoting Springsteen lyrics in the dark. "What's a guy like you doing slinging apps?" Jason mouthed over the rim of his glass, eyebrow arched in that way that said, "I see you." Christopher shrugged, mouthing back family bullshit. But before he could slip away, Ethan materialized, arms slung around Lila's waist like a trophy. She was stunning, raven hair in loose waves, emerald eyes that sparkled with mischief, a vintage lace gown that whispered against the grass. Lila Vargas, daughter of Mexican immigrants who'd built a life selling abstract oils in River North, the one wild card in the Hale dynasty. "Chris, there you are," Ethan boomed, loud enough for the quartet to falter. "Lila's folks need more napkins in the cabana." "Hop to it." "Yeah," the guests tittered, a ripple of amusement that landed like acid on Christopher's skin. Jason's jaw tightened, his glass pausing mid-sip, but Christopher waved him off. "It's fine," and trudged toward the linen closet, the tray wobbling in his grip. Inside the dim alcove, surrounded by starched folds and the faint scent of bleach, Christopher leaned against the wall and let the tears come, hot and silent. 28 years of this. The Easter brunches where he'd plate the ham while Ethan carved it. The Christmas Eves where he'd wrap gifts for cousins who called him Auntie Chris behind his back. Jason had begged him to bail. To hell with the wedding. "You're worth more than their crumbs, babe." He'd said that morning in their cramped Logan Square apartment, fingers tracing the tattoo on Christopher's collarbone, a tiny rainbow flag inked after their first real date. But blood was blood, or so Christopher told himself, wiping his face with a cocktail napkin monogrammed E&L forever. He straightened, fixed his tie, and stepped back into the fray just as the officiant called for the processional. The ceremony was a blur of vows and violins, Ethan beaming like he'd invented love itself, Lila's voice steady as she promised, in sickness and in health. Through every storm, Christopher stood at the back, designated usher, handing out programs with a mechanical nod. When the couple recessed down the aisle to thunderous applause, rice flying like confetti shrapnel, he caught Jason's eye again, dark, stormy, promising a reckoning later. The reception kicked off with toasts that dragged. Ethan's best man, a slick hedge funder named Brock, regaling tales of the ultimate bro, all bro hugs and bourbon shots, conveniently omitting the summer Ethan had crashed on Christopher's couch after his last breakup. Sobbing about not being enough, Margaret Hale dabbed her eyes with a lace hanky. "To my boys, Ethan, the king, and Christopher, our quiet helper." The room chuckled. Christopher's fork scraped his plate, the filet mignon turning to ash in his mouth. It was during the cake cutting, towering tiers of vanilla sponge and buttercream, knife slicing through fondant hearts, that the fracture lines spiderwebbed. Lila, glowing under the spotlights, fed Ethan a bite with exaggerated tenderness, the crowd eyeing in unison. Then, as flashbulbs popped, she leaned into the mic for her toast, voice honeyed but edged. "Ethan Hale, my rock, my partner in this wild American dream. You've given me everything, a home, a future, a family that's complicated." A pause, laughter rippling. Christopher tensed, sensing the shift like ozone before thunder. "But tonight, as we celebrate, I want to honor the real heart of this family. The one who's held it together, unseen. Christopher, your brother, my brother now, who's loved you fiercely, even when you couldn't love him back the same way. Ethan's smile faltered, a twitch at the corner of his mouth. The room hushed, forks pausing. Lila turned, locking eyes with Christopher across the tables, her gaze fierce. Ethan told me everything last week, after too much scotch. About the letters you wrote him in college, begging for acceptance. About the nights you cried yourself sick because Dad called you a disappointment. And about Jason, how you hid him for years because Ethan convinced you it would ruin the family image. Gasps rippled like wind through wheat fields. Margaret's hand flew to her throat. Harold's face purpled. Jason surged to his feet, chair scraping, but Christopher was rooted, blood roaring in his ears. You knew. Christopher's voice cracked, barely audible over the quartet's aborted crescendo. He rose, Tuck's jacket suddenly too tight, and stalked toward the head table, the ballroom spinning in his periphery. Ethan stood, hands placating. Chris, come on. Not here. You knew about Jason, and you let them treat me like this? Like the fucking maid. The words exploded, raw and Midwestern blunt, drawing stares from every corner. Lila stepped between them, her veil askew, a warrior in white. He confessed it all. Christopher. The cheating god. Ethan. Tell them. The flings with your assistant. The business trips to New York. I almost called it off. But then I realized. This family's poison runs deep. And you're the antidote. The one who loved without conditions. Ethan's face crumpled, a mask slipping, vulnerable, boyish. The brother Christopher remembered from treehouse forts and stolen baseball cards. I was scared. Okay, Dad's dying. The firm's on the line. Dying? Christopher echoed. The word a gut punch. No one had told him. Another secret. Another erasure. The ballroom erupted then, whispers swelling to shouts. Margaret wailing, "This is a circus." Uncle Frank bellowing for security. Jason was there in an instant, arm around Christopher's waist, a solid anchor amid the storm. "We're out," Jason growled, low and fierce, steering him toward the French doors. But Christopher paused, turning back to Lila, who nodded, tears carving tracks through her makeup. "Go live, Christopher. For both of us." They burst onto the veranda, the November chill slapping like judgment, stars pricking the velvet sky over the golf course fairways. Christopher collapsed against the railing, sobs racking him, grief for the brother he'd idolized, rage at the lies, a hollow ache for the family that never was. Jason held him, wordless, his flannel shirt, grabbed from the coat check, draped over Christopher's shoulders like a shield. "I'm sorry, babe. I should have dragged you outta here hours ago." Christopher pulled back, searching Jason's face in the lantern glow, those hazel eyes, steady as Lake Michigan in summer. "Why didn't you ever say anything about how they treated me?" Jason shrugged, sheepish. "Your call, always. But fuck that now. Marry me instead. Right here. Screw the Hales. Courthouse tomorrow. Tacos after." A laugh bubbled up, absurd and freeing, cutting through the salt on Christopher's lips. "You're insane. Insane for you." Jason kissed him then, slow and deep, tasting of whiskey and promise, the world narrowing to the press of bodies and the distant crash of the party imploding behind them. But the night wasn't done unraveling. as they slipped toward the parking lot, gravel crunching underfoot. Ethan's voice echoed from the shadows. "Chris, wait," he stumbled out. "Tyascu," eyes red-rimmed, Lila trailing like a ghost. "I fucked up. All of it. The lies. The hiding Dad's cancer. Stage 4. He made me swear not to tell you. Said you'd use it to push your agenda." Christopher's fists clenched. The betrayal a fresh wound. "My agenda? Loving who I love? Or just existing without your permission?" Ethan flinched, reaching out. "I was wrong. About everything. Jason, he's good for you. Better than I ever was as a brother." A sob escaped him, raw and unhale-like. Lila wrapped an arm around him, her touch gentle but firm. "We're getting an annulment," she said softly. "But first, therapy. All of us, if you'll come." The offer hung there, fragile as the first frost on the windshield of Jason's beat-up Ford. Christopher glanced at Jason, who nodded, thumb rubbing circles on his back. Forgiveness wasn't a light switch. It was a slow burn, humanistic in its messiness, the grace in admitting brokenness, the romance in choosing repair over rupture. In the end, they drove away under a canopy of oaks shedding crimson leaves like confetti of their own making. Jason's hand on Christopher's knee, radio crooning Thunder Road. The wedding was ash, but from it rose something truer, a love unapologetic, a family redefined not by blood but by the truths we dare to speak. Dawn broke over the Kennedy Expressway like a reluctant apology, smog-hazed and indifferent, as Christopher nursed a black coffee in the diner's vinyl booth, staring at the want ads spread before him like a map to nowhere. It had been 3 weeks since the wedding debacle, 3 weeks of voicemails from Margaret pleading family counseling, texts from Ethan with links to pancreatic cancer support groups, and Lila's handwritten notes slipped under his door. "You're braver than you know." Coffee soon? Jason had been the constant, crashing on the futon with greasy takeout and bad puns, his presence a balm against the isolation that clawed at Christopher's edges. But the job was gone. His boss, citing personal distractions, had let him go after the society pages ran a blurry photo of the Hale wedding meltdown, complete with captions speculating on fraternal feuds. Chicago's design scene was cutthroat. Word traveled faster than the L train. "You're spiraling," Jason said, sliding into the booth with a stack of blueberry pancakes, syrup pooling like liquid gold. His hair was tousled from the wind, work boots leaving mud flecks on the linoleum. "Freelance it. Hell, start your own shop. Hale Designs. No bullshit logos." Christopher managed a half smile, folding the paper. "Easy for you to say. Your garage doesn't care if you're a tabloid punchline." Jason leaned across, stealing a sip of coffee, his knee pressing Christopher's under the table, a secret Morse code of "I'm here." "My garage cares that I come home to you." That's the win. Their eyes locked, that electric hum sparking like it always did. Born from late-night drives to Indiana dunes where they'd fuck in the sand under blankets of stars, whispering futures that tasted like freedom. Jason wasn't the grand gesture type, no roses or violins. But his love was steady, the kind that fixed leaky faucets at 2 a.m. without complaint, that quoted Cummings over engine grease. By noon, they were back in the apartment, sunlight slanting through blinds onto the thrift store couch where Christopher sketched feverishly. Bold lines, vibrant palettes, logos that screamed defiance. Jason sprawled beside him, thumbing through a dog-eared copy of The Great Gatsby, murmuring, "See? Even old daisies got her unraveling. "You're Fitzgerald with better hair." The call came as Christopher hit send on his first pitch to a queer-owned startup in Pilsen. Ethan's number, voice thick with phlegm and regret. "Hey, bro." Doc says. "Weeks. Maybe. Come see him, please." The line crackled with unspoken I love yous, the kind Hale men never voiced but felt in the bone. Christopher hung up, chest tight, and found Jason in the kitchen, brewing tea with that focused frown. "Your call," Jason said simply, handing over a mug steam-wreathed with chamomile. "But if you go, I'm your +1. No more solo missions." The hospital smelled of bleach and despair. Fluorescent buzzed a counterpoint to the holiday music piping jingle bells in the lobby. Harold Hale lay shrunken in his bed, monitors beeping like accusatory metronomes, his once broad frame whittled to whispers. Margaret hovered, lipstick smudged, clutching a rosary as if it could barter with God. Ethan sat in the corner armchair, hollow-cheeked, a ghost of the groom in his polo and khakis. "Christopher," Harold rasped, eyes milky but sharp. "You came." The room thickened with the unsaid. The slurs after prom when Christopher brought a male date, the phase lectures over Thanksgiving turkey, the wedding snub that now felt trivial against this terminus. Christopher perched on the bed's edge, Jason a silent sentinel by the door, hand brushing his shoulder. "I should have told you," Harold continued, voice fraying. "About the cancer. Pride. Too much." He glanced at Ethan, who nodded, tears carving paths down stubbled cheeks. "Pride," Christopher echoed, the word a talisman. Harold's hand, veined and trembling, covered his. "Seeing you. With him." A nod to Jason. "At the wedding. Looked happy. Real. I was wrong, son. Buried it under expectations. Church, business, the Hale name. But it's dust." Margaret sobbed then, a dam breaking, collapsing into Ethan's arms. "We failed you. Both our boys." Ethan met Christopher's gaze, raw and stripped. "I outed you to protect myself. After Dad's diagnosis, I panicked, thought if the family's strong, it'd hold. But I broke it. And you fixed it." With one shout, the confession hung, humanistic in its ugliness, the betrayal not malice but fear, the love tangled in thorns. Jason shifted, his presence a quiet vote of stay. Christopher swallowed, throat burning. "We start over? No secrets." Harold squeezed his hand, weaker now. "Start over." They left as dusk bled purple over the city. Jason's truck rumbling through traffic. Springsteen on low. "We gotta get out while we're young. 'Cause tramps like us, baby, we were born to run." Christopher leaned his head on Jason's shoulder, the weight lifting fraction by fraction. "Marry me?" he whispered, echoing Jason's impulsive ask. Jason's laugh rumbled, warm as engine heat. "Told you I would. But let's make it ours, no country clubs." The engagement party was a DIY affair in a Logan Square warehouse loft, strung with Edison bulbs and rainbow streamers pilfered from a dollar store. Lila officiated, her annulment fresh, dressed in overalls and Doc Martens, a far cry from lace and veils. 50 guests. Jason's grease monkey crew from the shop, Christopher's freelance clients, mostly queer artists and activists, Ethan and a frail but fiercer Harold in a wheelchair, Margaret toting deviled eggs like peace offerings. No speeches, Just a playlist of Motown and indie folk, tacos from a truck parked curbside, and a cake Lila baked herself. Chocolate stout with fuck the Hales. Kidding. Iced in ganache. As the sun dipped, casting long shadows across graffiti walls, Christopher pulled Jason onto the makeshift dance floor. Plywood over concrete, slow dancing to At Last. "This is us," he murmured, forehead to forehead. "Messy. Real." Jason grinned, spinning him out with a flourish. American as apple pie a la mode. But harmony was a horizon, not a destination. 2 months in, Ethan's call shattered the idyll. Dad's gone. Service Saturday. The funeral was St. Mary's again. Pews packed with suits and sobs. Eulogies painting Harold as the pillar of the community. Omitting the evolution, the late-night apologies whispered over hospital jello. Christopher stood at the graveside, clod of earth in hand, Jason's fingers laced with his, as rabbi, swapped for a progressive one at Margaret's insistence, intoned Kaddish blended with a queer hymn. "We mourn the man he was," the rabbi said, "and celebrate the grace he found." After, in the church basement over cold cuts and casseroles, Ethan pulled Christopher aside, voice low. "There's a letter. From Dad. For you." Sealed envelope. Harold scrawl, "Son, I see now love's not a phase. It's the only legacy. Be happy. For me." Tears blurred the ink, but Christopher folded it away, turning to Jason amid the folding chairs. "Road trip?" he asked, impulsive as youth. "Hell yeah. Route 66. Baby. See the heartland on our terms." They hit the road at dawn. 67 Mustang. Jason's pride and joy, purring south. Windows down. Wind whipping worries to wisps. First stop. Springfield. Lincoln's tomb, where Christopher traced the marble like a vow. "He freed us all," Jason quipped, "even from shitty dads." Nights blurred in motels with neon signs and scratchy sheets. Amarillo's steakhouse where they slow danced to jukebox twang. The Grand Canyon's rim at twilight, stars spilling like secrets. In a Flagstaff diner, over green chili enchiladas, Jason proposed properly, on one knee amid ketchup packets. Ring a simple silver band etched with coordinates of their first kiss. "Forever's a long highway," he said. "You in." Christopher pulled him up, kissing fierce. Pedal to the metal. Back in Chicago. The wedding was June, Pride Month pinnacle, in a lakeside pavilion, waves lapping like applause. Vows exchanged under a chuppah of wildflowers. Ethan best man in a kilt, Lila's idea. For the drama. Margaret walking Christopher down the aisle, her arm steady. "I'm proud," she whispered, eyes shining. As they recessed to Born to Run, confetti rainbowing the air, Christopher caught Ethan's eye. Forgiven, not forgotten, a brother reborn. The reception spilled into night. Bonfire on the beach, s'mores and stories. Jason's toast slurring just right. To Christopher, my North Star in this crazy American carnival. Later, tangled in sheets at the Edgewater Hotel. City lights pulsing below. Christopher traced Jason's scars. Old burns from shop mishaps. Badges of labor and love. "We made it," he breathed. Jason smirked, pulling him closer. "Damn right." And the road goes on. The honeymoon stretched like taffy. 2 weeks zigzagging the Pacific Coast Highway. From San Francisco's fog-shrouded bridges to Big Sur's cliffs where seals barked hymns to the sea. Christopher drove. Jason shotgun with a cooler of IPAs and a battered guitar. strumming Dylan covers as the ocean unspooled turquoise below. They hiked Pfeiffer Beach at dawn, purple sand cool underfoot, making love in a cove hidden by boulders, salt-crusted and breathless. "This is the dream," Christopher gasped, head on Jason's chest, heartbeat syncing with waves. No hails, no headlines, just them, two threads woven into the vast American tapestry. Reality reasserted in LAX. The Mustang shipped back, boarding a red-eye to O'Hare with hangovers and hard eyes. Christopher's freelance was blooming. A queer coffee chain wanted rebranding, all bold sans serif and coffee-ring rainbows. Jason's shop thrived too, word of mouth from the wedding turning gearheads into allies. But cracks spidered subtly, Ethan's texts growing sporadic, laced with "how's the newlywed bliss." Margaret's brunches skipped for "flu," whispers from Aunt Rita at the grocery. "Such a scene you caused, dear." Fall foliage turned fiery, and with it, the first real test. Christopher's portfolio landed him a gig with a major agency, Downtown Loop, corner office tease, but the creative director, a slick viper named Trent, cornered him post-interview. "Love the edge, Hale, but tone down the personal. Clients get twitchy about lifestyle vibes." The word landed like a slur, echoing Dad's ghost. Christopher fumed home, slamming cabinets while Jason grilled brats on the fire escape. "Fuck 'em," Jason said, flipping meat with tongs. "You're gold." They'll beg, but doubt festered, a low hum under the idol. Then, Thanksgiving, Margaret's insistence. Family heals, over turkey and tension. The table groaned with fixings. Cranberry relish, green bean casserole, Ethan's forced japes about bro-in-law duties. Harold's absence yawned, a void filled with toasts to the man who taught us strength. Christopher bit his tongue through Rita's barbs. Jason, such a handy fellow, fixing cars like you fix. Well, you know, until wine loosened it. Aunt Rita, love's not a punchline. Pass the rolls. Ethan defused with a laugh. But later, in the den over pie, he confessed, Lila's pregnant. Surprise. Joy warred with envy. Christopher's clinic visits. The IVF dreams deferred by costs and chaos. Congrats. Man, he managed, hugging stiff. Jason, sensing the rift, suggested air. Black Friday sale on cabin weekends? Winter clamped down, snow blanketing the city in hush. Christmas Eve, they strung lights on a Charlie Brown pine. Jason burning chestnuts on the stove. Romantic, right? While Christopher sketched holiday cards for clients. Rainbow wreaths winking. But Ethan's call at midnight shattered the glow. It's a boy. Naming him after Dad. You okay? The pang was visceral, legacy skipped. Christopher's branch barren. He curled into Jason on the couch. Bing Crosby crooning neglect. Want kids? Jason asked. Tentative. Fingers carding hair. Someday. Adoption. Maybe. Surrogacy if we grind. A pause. You. Jason's grin flashed in twinkle lights. Hell. Yeah. Mini MES tearing up the shop. Or your artist clones. Doodling on invoices. New Year's dawned crisp. Resolutions scrawled on napkins. More courage. Deeper roots. But February brought blizzard and betrayal's echo. Trent's agency offer rescinded. Email curt. Cultural fit concerns. Christopher stormed the streets. Wind whipping fury. Ending at Jason's garage. Bay doors open to steam and curses. What now? he yelled over the hiss of a radiator. Jason wiped hands on Rag, pulling him into the office, cluttered desk, Springsteen poster peeling. Now, you build bigger. Fuck their fit. He kissed Knuckles, rough and reverent. We're the fit. Spring thawed the ice. And with it, opportunity. Lila's gallery needed visuals for a queer history exhibit. Out of the closet, Midwest voices. Christopher poured soul into it. Collages of Stonewall echoes in Boys Town alleys. Portraits of unsung lovers like them. Opening night, the space thrummed. Wine flowing. Murmurs of awe. Ethan arrived. Baby carrier slung. Tiny Harold gurgling. This is you, he said, gesturing to a piece. Two silhouettes intertwined against a skyline. Defiant. Lila hugged Christopher fierce. Proud auntie here. And matchmaker met a donor through the show. If you want, the seed planted, hope's quiet bloom. Jason, in chinos for once, whispered amid the crowd. Our turn soon. Summer swelled. Pride a riot of color, parade floats. Drag brunches. Christopher's designs on banners fluttering down Halstead. They marched hand in hand, Ethan pushing the stroller beside, Margaret waving a flag with tentative whoops. Progress, she called, voice cracking joy. But climax brewed in August heat. A client dinner turning toxic. Venture bros in a steakhouse. Cigars and slurs. One sneering. Heard about your family's little outing. Keep that drama off my dime. Christopher bolted. Cab to the shop where Jason torqued a wrench like therapy. Enough, Christopher declared. Voice steel. I'm out, starting my own firm. Hale and Riley Designs. Partners. For real. Jason's eyes lit. Wrench clattering. About time. I'll quit the shop. Handle biz dev. Grease to graphics. The launch was guerrilla. Pop-up in Wicker Park. Craft beers and pitch decks. Queer creators packing the alley. Lila emceed. Baby cooing from a sling. Ethan invested seed money. Reparations, he joked, while Margaret baked cookies stamped with logos. Reviews buzzed. Authentic. Unapologetic. American reinvention. Fall harvest brought harvest of heart. Clinic greenlight. Donor match via Lila's network. IVF needles and nausea. Jason's vigil through scans. Warrior, he murmured, kissing stretch marks. Positive test. Twins. Boys. Our chaos, Christopher laughed. Tears salt sweet. Ethan's bachelor redux. Remarriage to Lila in a backyard vow renewal. Low-key with tamales and tango. Christopher officiated. Words weaving wounds to wisdom. Love betrays, but it redeems. Here's to the long haul. As leaves turned, bellies swelled, Christopher's metaphorically. Hand on the bump via proxy dreams. The family circled. Brunches with babble. Holidays harmonic. Jason built cribs in the garage. Humming lullabies off-key. Winter's Eve. Snow soft. They stood on the fire escape. City aglow. From hired help to this, Christopher marveled. Ring glinting. Jason nuzzled neck. You were always the hero, babe. I just drove the getaway car. The twins arrived with March's Equinox Fury. A storm lashing Lakeshore Drive. Hospital halls echoing with Christopher's gritted curses and Jason's white-knuckled prayers. Labor stretched eternal. 20 hours of monitors beeping like impatient clocks. Until two cries pierced the din. Milo and Finn. Red-faced and roaring. 7 pounds of miracle each. Jason cut cords with trembling hands, tears carving paths through stubble, while Christopher, sweat slick and spent, gathered them close, tiny fists clutching his gown, hearts fluttering wild. "Ours," he whispered, the word a sacrament. Homecoming was chaos incarnate. The Logan Square walk-up transformed into nest, bassinet crammed beside the bed, diapers stacking like cordwood. Sleepless nights blurred into days of burping and bottles, Jason mastering midnight feeds with YouTube tutorials, Christopher sketching one-handed logos between spit-up stains. "We're nailing this," Jason declared over cold pizza at 3 a.m., Milo snoring on his chest, Finn gnawing Christopher's thumb. But cracks crept, resentment at Jason's ease with the boys, natural dad vibes, Lila teased, while Christopher wrestled postpartum shadows, hormones a riptide pulling him under. "Am I enough?" he confessed one dawn, voice small, as rain pattered windows. Jason paused, coffee mug steaming. "Enough? You're the sun, babe. We orbit you." Therapy followed, couple sessions in a Wicker Park brownstone, unpacking wedding ghosts and biodad baggage. "Betrayal's a teacher," the counselor said, soft-eyed. "What did it teach?" "Forgiveness," Christopher admitted. "And boundaries." The firm flourished amid the frenzy. Hale and Riley snagged a campaign for a national pride apparel line. Billboards blazing across I-90. Love unfiltered. Ethan joined the board, his finance acumen tempering Christopher's fire. Baby Harold toddling meetings in tiny suits. "Uncle Ethan's got the spreadsheets," he'd quip, bouncing the kid on knee. Summer solstice brought baptism. Not water, but beach. Indiana dunes. Waves lapping as they dedicated the boys under a driftwood arch. Lila reciting adapted vows. Margaret scattering rose petals with newfound grace. "To new beginnings," she toasted, champagne fizzing like effervescence. But autumn winds carried conflict's chill. A client poached, a startup mogul with deep pockets but deeper biases, leaking emails, Hale's personal life a liability. Backlash hit trolls on LinkedIn. Boycotts whispered in industry chats. Christopher spiraled, snapping at Jason over diaper duty, the firm teetering. "I built this from ashes," he raged in their kitchen, pots clanging. "And they burn it 'cause I'm gay? With kids." Jason blocked the door, voice low thunder. "Then we fight smarter." Not alone. He pulled strings, Southside Network. Queer lawyers pro bono, turning scandal to spotlight. Press junket on The View. Christopher's op-ed in Chicago Tribune. From wedding wreck to family forge. Why visibility wins. Climax crested at the firm's holiday gala. Rooftop affair overlooking the Bean. Skyline glittering like absolution. 200 strong. Allies, adversaries turned converts. Trent slunk in, schmoozing, but Christopher cornered him by the bar. Twins in carriers at his feet. "Fit now?" he asked, cool as winter wind. Trent flushed, mumbling, "Misunderstanding." "Truth," Christopher cut. "You feared us. Now hire us, or get out." Applause rippled as Trent slunk away, Jason's arm snaked waist. Proud squeeze. Ethan's toast anchored the night. To Christopher, the brother who taught me courage. From hired help to heartbeat, winter waned. Twins teething with tyrannical glee, nights of teething rings and tender mercies. Jason proposed expansion. Franchise the firm? Milwaukee. Maybe. Closer to your roots. Christopher hesitated. Chicago's grit their crucible, but nodded. Roots grow where we plant. Spring bloomed, betrayal's echo. Aunt Rita's obituary. Stroke at 82. Funeral perfunctory. Pews sparse. Her will a barb bequests to traditional causes. Christopher's name scratched out. Knew it, he muttered in the limo. Rain sheeting glass. Jason squeezed thigh. Her loss. We're the legacy. Easter brought renewal. Egg hunts in the park. Boys giggling in grass. Ethan unveiling a trust for the twins. Dad's wish. Amended. Margaret. Softer now. Baked hot cross buns. Whispering. Grandma's learning. Summer scorched. Firm hitting stride, national contracts. TEDx talk for Christopher. The American closet. Kicked open. Jason's pride swelled. But envy nipped. Miss the wrench life sometimes. Grease over graphs. Side hustle, Christopher suggested. Garage gallery, cars and canvases. The pop-up launched Labor Day. Volvos posed with Christopher's murals, drawing crowds from Milwaukee to Gary. Fall foliage framed family rifts mend. Ethan's promotion, corner office with a view, but burnout cracking him. Nights pounding pavement for deals, Lila's pleas ignored. Like Dad, Christopher warned over beers at a dive. Boys napping in tandem carriers. Don't bury it, Ethan deflated, bottle clinking. Afraid I'll lose it all. Again. Won't, Christopher said, clinking back. We've got backups now. Thanksgiving tableau. Extended table groaning. Lila's turkey spiced with heritage. Twins finger-painting yams. Toasts trended tender. Harold's absence honored with a chair empty. Candle flickering. Winter's solstice. They escaped to the cabin. Wisconsin woods blanketed white. Fire crackling as Milo and Finn chased snowflakes. Jason carved turkeys from pine. Christopher sketched family portraits by lamplight. 10 years from now, Jason mused. Boys piled between. What's the story? Christopher smiled, tracing constellations on the ceiling. Us. Still running. New Year's dawn. City fireworks fading. They renewed vows in the apartment. Candlelit. Take out sushi. Rings exchanged anew. Through betrayals and births, Jason intoned. Forever's highway, Christopher echoed. The decade unspooled like film reel, blurred frames of first steps and scraped knees, school plays and science fairs, the twins growing gangly with Jason's freckles and Christopher's artist's gaze. Hale and Riley evolved empire. Satellite offices in Austin and Portland, billboards touting designs that dare, a nonprofit arm funding queer youth arts. Christopher keynote at South by Southwest. Voice steady. From a shattered flute to shattered ceilings, we rewrite the script. Jason helmed the garage gallery circuit. Volvos as canvases for emerging talents. His twang drawing crowds. Art's like a tune-up, clears the gunk. Ethan's arc arced graceful. Therapy taming the tiger. Lila's gallery fusing with theirs for hybrid exhibits. Family fractures. Mended modern. Little Harold. Now Hank. Shadowed Christopher's studio. Crayons flying. Uncle Chris. Draw me a rainbow car. Margaret. Silver-streaked and sage. Hosted grandma boot camps. Cookie baking with progressive podcasts. Her rosary retired for rainbow beads. Yet conflict coiled eternal. Serpent in Eden. 15. Milo came home tear-streaked from soccer practice. Coach said. Fags don't win leagues. The slur landed like Ethan's wedding snarl. Resurrecting ghosts. Christopher's rage simmered. Jason's fists clenched over dinner. Pot roast cooling untouched. We sue. Jason growled. No, Christopher decided, pulling Milo close. We show. The firm redesigned the league's branding, Play Proud, with pro bono pride patches. Coach retrained or replaced. Thin, quieter, confessed crushes on boys and girls alike. Am I like you, Dad? Jason's grin split. Better, your own flavor. Climax crested sophomore year. A scandal shaking foundations. Anonymous leak. Fabricated docs alleging firm diversity quotas rigged bids. Stocks dipped, they'd gone public. American dreams double-edge. Headlines howling queer cartel. Trolls swarmed socials. Old Rita echoes amplified. Christopher testified before city council. Voice cracking. This isn't about us. It's fear's last gasp. Jason rallied the South Side. Mechanics marching with signs. Love fixes everything. Betrayal's twist. Insider tip traced to a junior exec. Ethan's protege ambition's acid. Confrontation in the boardroom. Glass walls witnessing. I thought you'd understand sacrifice. The kid stammered. Ethan, gray at temples, leaned in. Sacrifice isn't sabotage. You're fired. Forgiveness flickered. Mentorship offered post-probation. But boundaries held. Humanistic hedge. Resolution rippled. Congressional hearing. Christopher's testimony viral. Firm rebounding stronger. Partnerships with GLAD. Merch lines funding scholarships. The twins, proud, launched a school GSA, Hail Pride Club, Milo president, Finn treasurer. 20th anniversary dawned golden. Route 66 Redux. Mustang gleaming. Boys now men at 18. Shotgun philosophers debating Kerouac. Stops echoed. Springfield's solemnity. Amarillo's twang. Canyon's awe. A big sir. They scattered Harold's amended ashes. To the man who learned late, Christopher toasted, waves claiming with roar. Back home. Wedding redux. Lakeside pavilion. 2 decades on. Guests graying but grinning. Vows refreshed. Through twins and tempests. Jason avowed. Ring renewed. Milo and Finn emceed. Hank ringbearer grown tall. Ethan's toast. From hired help to Hall of Fame. Loves the real American way. As stars wheeled. Family fanned on blankets. Margaret dozing to fiddles. Lila sketching the scene. Christopher leaned into Jason. Gray threading his temples too. Worth the wreck. Jason's kiss lingered. Whiskey warm. Every shard. The years layered gentle. Grandkids from the boys. Milo's engineer wife birthing a girl. Finn's non-binary partner a boy. Playdates in the firm's playroom. Crayons on conference tables. Christopher penned memoir. Shattered Flute. A Gay American Odyssey. Bestseller with Oprah bump. Jason's galleries went national. Wheels of Change touring museums. Elder Autumn. They wintered in Florida condo. Golf carts and grandkids. Jason's arthritis no match for his swing. Ethan retired beside. Lila's oils adorning walls. One eve. Porch swing creaking. Christopher murmured. The truth she revealed. Saved us. Jason nodded. Hand clasped. Bride knew. We all do now. Dusk deepened. Fireflies winking like confetti eternal. The story closed not with bang, but breath. Love's quiet cadence. Humanistic hymn to the broken mended. The hidden hailed. In America's vast heart, they endured. 2 men. 1 road. Forever hitched.